spin around the NFL. What did you watch on Sunday? What caught your eye? What did you like? What surprised you? And I talked about it last week. It's the happiest day on the calendar, really. So I was in hog heaven watching all the games and flipping through. I will say a lot of surprises in the I was wrong category, like the Packers just getting boat raced by the Saints in Jacksonville. I mean, that was shocking. The Bills, I thought the Bills would come out and have such a strong offense, and I thought playing against the Steelers was a nice warm up for them, but they take the loss. So what caught your eye on Sunday?
Well, what didn't I watch? Come on, we all got Red Zone. I'm sure we watched everything, at least a little bit. But like I said, in our season preview show, the NFC West is definitely the NFC best, as all 4 teams notched solid victories in week 1, with Arizona's probably being the most impressive on the road against Tennessee, somehow making Derrick Henry a non-factor. And I think Ryan Tannehill is still seeing Chandler Jones in his nightmares, as Jones had 5 sacks on him in the game. And to all you Kyler Murray haters and non-believers, Todd, all he did was put up 5 touchdowns in that 38-13 beatdown of the Titans. So I think Kyler and the Cardinals, unfortunately, seem to be a force to be reckoned with this season.
I'm still going to double down on I need to see it a little bit more often than one time. And you mentioned the Titans. I was also surprised until I went back and realized that Todd Downing, the former Raiders offensive coordinator, is who took over for Arthur Smith. So the Titans might be in some trouble because Downing was not good with the Raiders, and Mike Vrabel is a defensive guy. The entire offense is on this new offensive coordinator, and they looked bad. And I'm talking production, but also how do you let Chandler Jones get 5 sacks? Like, how do you not shift your offensive line or keep a tight end in? And that's my thing. That's like my thing across the board with coaches. If someone is just dominating you, that's what halftime is for. Okay, hey, this is what we got. Make someone else sack. Maybe it's J.J. Watt. Maybe it's Buda Baker on the book. But this guy cannot get a sack anymore. But they just left Taylor Lewan out there one-on-one. It's like, okay, well, now I know you deserve to get beat down. So, that I put on as much on the coach as I do the productivity on the field by the players. So, we saw the opposite of in the Bills-Steelers game, right? The Steelers were shut out in the first half. They made the adjustments and they came back and won. Yeah. Jeff, what caught your eye?
Yeah, I mean, not only is the NFC West the best, but apparently the AFC West is the best also, which I think a lot of us knew, but Jerry's Broncos getting a dub, right? The Chargers are coming back or hanging in there, the Raiders with their victory, and of course the Chiefs. Just kind of going on the list. I mean, I was surprised where I was wrong. I think where I was right, the Seahawks rolled with Russell Wilson, and I thought the Colts, they're not as good as we think. Maybe they'll bounce back. But Russell Wilson's just like the greatest quarterback in the history of the world, just gets it done again. And Josh Allen may still get some MVP votes, but based on that game, I was wrong there too, I guess, like a lot of us were. Like the Cardinals, they were a little bit surprising. I thought they'd be okay, but not to destroy the Titans like that. Going through some of these other games, I mean, the Browns hung in there. I mean,
just get to your most disappointing. The Texans are they won their game.
I didn't get to that one yet, right? The Texans won, so I'm out of that pool. Right? Right.
Well, not only did they win, who could have seen that they'd be in first place all by themselves as the lone 1-0 team in the AFC South?
And that's got to be the last time, right? That's got to be the last time they're in first. I mean, maybe not. We don't know what that division. So who knows?
At worst, they're going to be tied for first after this week, even if everybody else wins in their games. But I thought, just seeing that score, I did not think, if the Texans ever sniffed 30 points in a game, I was going to be pretty surprised, let alone in the first game, let alone like a 24-point lead at some point. I will say I was wrong in terms of that for the Texans, but I was I'm going to lean I was right about Urban Meyer because his offense looked very vanilla. It looked like a college guy who just thought, well, my players are better than your players and it doesn't matter. It's all going to, in the end, my team's going to win because I got the 5-star athletes. And that's not how it works in the NFL. Like, it's scheme. You got to do more than just put Trevor Lawrence back there and say, hey, go do what you've done for your entire life. So that was it. That's what I thought. So
right. Let me just add two other things real quick. The Rams, I guess, last year as well as this year, I just wasn't giving them enough credit. And apparently, I know the Bears aren't maybe great, but I guess the Rams are going to be there. Like, I just wasn't willing to give them the credit, but they look pretty good. Stafford looked pretty good. Their receivers look pretty good.
Did you see how many blown coverages there were?
Well,
these guys were wide open.
Yeah, but they looked, they looked like the part, right? Like it was flying around. And then the other thing, the Packers, they look terrible, right? Like Todd, I think at Texas, right? Like, is this Aaron Rodgers giving the middle finger or whatever? Like, you do this on purpose? Like, what's going on here? What, you guys are this bad?
Yeah, well, hey, Green Bay, the 2021 season called and said, wake the F up. It's go time.
Well, again, you're talking about Aaron Rodgers. Didn't play a snap during preseason. And his first snap is in the humidity of Florida, having to play in Jacksonville against the Saints because they were displaced, and out come the Saints ready to roll. And I certainly didn't see Jameis Winston going for 5 touchdowns, but I mean, Aaron Rodgers just having a horrible looking game. I mean, the results were bad, but it looked bad. He always kind of looks like he's dancing around back there. He never gets, he doesn't always get set, but he was dancing around more times than I remember seeing him in a full game. So I think that now let's remember the Packers get to play the Lions this week. So it's a get good week for them. Which very well may be my survivor pick. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. I mean, because I can't see the Packers going 0-2, but the Packers did not look good. And a couple other things, you guys can, all 3 of the rookie quarterbacks 0-3. They didn't win. Some of that was, product of the circumstances, like Trevor Lawrence, just not on a good team. He wasn't expected. But Mac Jones, he looked good, then he didn't look good. He looked good, then he didn't look good. He looked like the rookie quarterback you expected. So that was interesting. And I know, Jeff, you got to have thoughts on the Bengals-Vikings, because how many times were you yelling, typical Bengals,
right.
As they're trying to get, like,
they're almost like the Raiders, like pulling it out at the end. Like, what? Come on. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for getting those preseason, even, practice in, even if it's just practice and not playing in the game. Clearly I overreacted to Joe Burrow not playing a lot in the preseason and hearing about how tentative he was in practice and how Jamar Chase couldn't even catch a cold because, the Bungles weren't the Bungles on Sunday. They're not the pushover anymore. Burrow was impressive. And, having not only come back from that knee injury, but he looks every bit like the franchise quarterback again. But then on the flip side was, as you mentioned, Aaron Rodgers. You would think that as a veteran, he wouldn't need all those reps, but could they have been any flatter? They just seemed completely lackluster, which was the opposite of, as you mentioned, Jameis Winston surprisingly leading the way. Famous Jameis is back.
Yeah.
Anything else?
And should we be on Urban Meyer watch? Really? Like, might he implode or might he try to escape out of town and head to USC? Should we have or be on Urban Meyer watch right now?
I would be. I absolutely would be. You would think it's absurd for a guy to go from an NFL job one game into it to college, but this is a guy who made his bread and butter at the college level. USC would write a huge check. He can go to USC and make more money probably. Considering what they have financially to give. And he's known as the guy who can turn around programs quickly. And if you're USC, isn't that what you want? You're not in it. Like, you're not an NFL team where you're in it for the long haul in terms of roster building. Get the 5-star guys in here, play, win the Pac-12, play in a major bowl game, and do it again next year. You're not trying to build it.
Yeah, but USC is interesting because I heard something about Clay Helton 1 or 2 years ago, even like get rid of this guy, and then he was still there. So I don't know what Urban Meyer's contract.
More embarrassing than losing to Stanford, Jeff.
Yeah.
Apparently, I don't know why they lose to Stanford all the time.
Fair enough.
Yeah, they lose to Stanford every year. It seems like, so I don't know. But Urban Meyer's got to be locked up, right? Like,
and should we be concerned about Trevor Lawrence, who hasn't lost a game since what? Not even in high school? I don't know. I don't know if he's ever lost a game.
Yeah,
He never lost a regular season game in high school or college. So and that was one of the things that was kind of talked about early on was how's Urban Meyer, how's Trevor Lawrence going to react to losing? Because maybe no one thought they'd get crushed by the Texans, but they knew, hey, you're only going to win 5 or 6 games at most this year. And that's best case scenario. You're going to lose double-digit games. How are you guys going to do that? You guys haven't lost that many combined in your lifetime, and you're going to do that in a year. So you guys better have some, thick skin and whatnot to be able to ward off the criticism and, suck it up, because next Sunday's another game. You're going to have to go out there and do it again. Yeah. One game we didn't talk about, and, we talked about the Niners injuries. I'm sure the Washington football team's not feeling very good as Fitzmagic goes down, and he's going to be, I haven't seen if he's out for the whole year. I don't know if it's the 6 to 8 weeks, but you lose your starting quarterback for 2 months. I know Heineke came in and looked good, and I think they actually got a shot against, a good shot to beat the Giants this week, just because I think that defense is going to be able to keep it in. But yeah, losing your starting quarterback in week 1 is never optimal, especially when I think all 3 of us thought the Washington football team was going to win the NFC East.
Yeah, typically, as we saw last year with the Niners, you don't want to be losing your starting quarterback, particularly this early in the season. And I don't know a whole lot about Taylor Heineke, but he looked darn good against Tampa Bay in that one playoff game. So just for that alone, I would imagine there's some hope.
Yeah, there's
some hope. And the Giants are really bad. So, it's not the worst game to kind of get your feet wet this season.
Yeah, I was just going to add that I think Fitzpatrick is on that 6 to 8 week time return, but who knows with a hip subluxation.
Yeah, say that 10 times fast.
But they may be needing to call Cam Newton or something like that. I'm not sure if Heineke is the guy. I mean, I heard that somewhere. Maybe they should be calling Cam Newton. But then again, I'm not sure what his relationship is with Rivera. They were there before. I don't know if it's good or bad. So that'd be either a no-brainer or not. So
I don't think anybody's signing Cam unless they're just desperate beyond desperate. Between how Cam played last year, which was not that well, and all this whole vaccination thing, right? He's not going to be vaccinated. So what are you going to expect if he comes in? Something should happen. They're going to lose him for like 5 days. So I just think that other variable just makes it really tough to bring in Cam Newton.
I agree. I think if Taylor Heineke looks serviceable, you don't bring Cam Newton in. Now, if he looks terrible and you lose to the Giants, well, you might need to reevaluate, because you're going to be 0-2, and a lot of people had high expectations, and you might need to bring him in. But I agree. I think that vaccination status is a big red flag for Ron Rivera and the Washington football team. But the only good thing, they play Thursday night, so they're, if they lose, they could bring in they can bring in Cam on Friday, get him his 5 days, and he's going to still have a few days to practice, before game 3. So they're going to have a few days of leeway in there. So
what about Alex Smith? Do you stay in shape? He'll come back.
Gosh, I hope not. I mean, I think he had the perfect exit strategy, and I think isn't he doing some commentating somewhere?
ESPN, I think.
Yeah.